Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining, and we'll make a start. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Shodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Shodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavcha Shri Rupam Sayagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanivtam Sajim Sadvaitam Savadutam Krishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatra Brihishcha Kirpa Sindhumevicha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Dishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasti Gaur Bhakt Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukam Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Grivyat Kirpatam Vandeshi Guru Taranam Paramanandamadam Chaitaneshram Hariyam Tassat Narayan Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttam Devim Saswiti Vyasam Tato Jemaduriyat Nasta Presha Abduleshu Nitya Bhavasya Bhakti Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, thank you for joining, and let's continue. We're coming towards the end now nearly of chapter 12, and we're now on verse 32. And last time we're talking about how to bring up children, start them early in Krishna consciousness, so they have impressions. Srila Prabhupada gave examples about himself, that how his father started him very early age in Krishna consciousness, and then when he went to university, college. So for a while, he was away from these impressions and from that atmosphere. And sometimes, you can sort of compare and understand, what material life is all about, see the other side. So, you appreciate this even more. So he was away from it for a while, but then he came back later on because the impressions were there, and he found that this was more precious than what what was there outside in terms of knowledge, in terms of happiness, in terms of enjoyment. He found that this is where the real knowledge and real enjoyment actually lies. It may take a while, it may seem what is bitter at first becomes nectar later, whereas in passion, what is nectar now will become bitter later. So for something like that, something called mode of goodness does not, it's hard to, it's an acquired taste. I think one way of saying it, that it takes time to acquire the taste, but once you acquired it, then it becomes, total nectar. It does take time, even like we think sometimes, like, what's going on. We're not here or there, we're not enjoying the worldly pleasures, and we're not enjoying the Krishna consciousness, happiness. So where do we actually stand? We're right in no man's land at the moment. It's only when you get purified, you become serious, then you start, again, the ecstatic feelings about Krishna consciousness, and then you can't get enough of it. You want more. They have to keep you away from it. Means now we have to bring ourselves to it. Then you have to pull yourself out of it, because it's like constantly it's a distraction to your material, or your swadharma, because you're totally engrossed in your spirituality, and you have to make time for your material life, grista life. So like that, but we pray that day does come, because at the moment it does seem like sometimes that we are stuck in the middle, not here or there. But at least we help our children build impressions, so they go on later, wherever they go, they should come back to Krishna consciousness, because that is the aim of life. And then we're also talking about the Brahmins, the astrologers, how reliable they were those days at that time. Maybe not so reliable now. It's become a business, and it's all about the money. And there's other like offshoots, like you have gypsies come down. Somehow that they know some things, others they just a standard they will use for you to get you emotional, and trying to get money out of you. So like that. So you have to be careful. How we deal with people. We don't want to insult them or ridicule them anyway. But I guess we have to use that judgment at the same time. So let's continue then. Okay, let's share. Okay, so 32 is Yakshamano Shwamedena Gyati Droho Jihasaya Raja Labd Dano Dadyao Nanyatra Kar Dandayoho. So Yakshamanaha, desiring to perform Ashvamadena, by the horse sacrifice ceremony. And then Gyati Droha, fighting with kinsmen. Jiha Saya, for getting free. Raja, King Yudhishthir. Labad Danaha, for getting some wealth. Dadao, thought about it. Na an yatra, not otherwise. Kar Dandayoho, taxes and fines. So just at this time, King Yudhishthira was considering performing a whole sacrifice to get freed from sins incurred from fighting with king's men. But he became anxious to get some wealth, for there were no surplus funds outside of fines and tax collection. Yeah, so after the war, so many people were killed. They killed so many people. They killed their own family, the spiritual masters. Spiritual master, who was a Brahmin actually, but he had sort of given up his Brahmin status because he was, he behaved like a Kshatriya. Brahmins are allowed to fight in emergency, but Dronacharya, he was like continuously fighting in battles, so he was no longer really considered as a Brahman, more of a Kshatriya status. But nevertheless, Maharaj Yudhishthira felt that they had incurred sin by killing so many people, and he's thinking it cannot be just considered a holy war by killing your own family, your brothers, your friends. It cannot, to him, it was not considered a holy war. So as the Brahmanas and Vipras had a right to be subsidized by the state executive head had the right to collect taxes and fines from the citizens. After the Battle of Kurukshetra, the state treasury was exhausted. Obviously, they had millions of people coming to help them. They have to be fed. There's obviously other costs involved in the warfare, weapons, things like that, and therefore there was no surplus fund except the fund from tax collection and fines. Such funds were sufficient only for the state budget. And having no excess fund, the king was anxious to get more wealth in some other way in order to perform the whole sacrifice, which was actually a very, very expensive process. This Ashwamedha Yajna was very, very expensive. Maharaj Yudhishthira wanted to perform the sacrifice under the instruction of Bhishmadev. So while Bhishmadev was there, okay. 32. So taxation can be administered in the mode of goodness, Srila Prabhupada explains. For example, a farmer would get taxed on the profit he makes on his harvest of the crops. So instead of just taxing them, like you have like a fixed tax or something, you're taxing them on the profit itself, which is basically nowadays, this is what they do. They tax you, businesses are taxed percentage of the profit, not of the sale. So whatever, net profit you have, you'll get taxed on that. But there were some ruthless kings those days, they will tax you whether you had a good harvest or you have enough to eat. They will tax you anyway. But if it's taxed on your profits, so you go 100% percentage of your profits, 10-20%, whatever, that is acceptable. So any year when there is no crop, the king would not tax him. The money collected is normally used on the citizen. So they collect the tax, and if they had problems, there's no harvest, the king would help you that year. If you're living hand to mouth, they will actually help you to recover from that year. And something like that happens, like Prince Charles. He has his he has his properties and his businesses where he's charging rent and other costs. But if the business is doing bad, he at least that's what they portrayed, that he helps them. The business people would help them maybe not tax them in any way that year, or even give them some kind of subsidy for recovery. So like that, so the funds are kept so that they can, make sure that nobody goes under. Whereas, you see nowadays there's so many businesses going under because the rates are too high, the rent's too high, the taxes are too high, and people don't have the money, they don't have the spending power. So, business are bombarded from all directions, that the overheads are very high and the profit margins are very low. So, you just got to open the page for the businesses, see how many are struggling, and they're closing branches or they're going in administration, so many problems. But like said Prince Charles, like what he has control over, he supports them. And similarly, the kings, the saintly kings would help their citizens to recover in the bad times and tax them in the good time, because obviously you need funds to run the country, the empire.
King Charles.
Did I say Prince Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah. King Charles now. He was Prince Charles then, yes. Okay. So in Kali Yuga, people are taxed to death, as I was just saying. There's taxes from all directions. Rates go up every year, even for the home. They are taxed on everything. The government taxes you on the money you get, and then when you buy something with that money, it was already taxed. So we can't avoid tax. That you're taxed on the money. It's not tax-free money that you're earning. And then when you go to the stores, they charge you VAT on top of their goods as well. Now they charge you VAT on the products you buy. Or if you invest the money, they will tax you on that capital gains tax. So there is no way to escape taxes. You will pay it somewhere. Even if you decided, I'm just going to enjoy my money, you go and eat in restaurants, whatever, and they will tax you. They want tips. They can charge you whatever they like. You cannot escape costs and taxes or overcharges. It's just the way things run. Anyway, so that's so Maharaj Yudhishthira was very cautious or conscious of that, and he would be very careful how he treated his citizens. And this is why Krishna wanted a king like that, who would be very caring to his citizens, because king is like a father to all his citizens, which includes the animals and the trees and everyone else, they're all citizens. Okay, 33. Tad abhipretam alakshya bratro uchita choditaha koditaha, actually should choditaha dhanam prahinam ajaharur udichayam dishi bhurisha. So that his abhipretam, wishes of the mind, alakshya, observing, Bhratraha, his brothers, Achyuta, the infallible Lord Shri Krishna, and Choditaha, being advised by, Dhanam, riches, Prahinam, to collect, Ajaruhu, brought about, Udichayam, northern, Dishi, direction, Bhurisha, sufficient. So understanding the hearty wishes of the king, his brothers, as advised by the infallible Lord Krishna, collected sufficient riches from the north, left by King Maruta. So Lord Krishna, he was there, always there to help them, and he always knew a lot more than the Pandavas did. He knows more than anybody knows, and he would help them by telling them how they could reach out and get more riches. And then in the war as well, he helped them with the 5 arrows that Arjun went to get, and he's got inside information for everything, Lord in the heart. So I would help them like that. So he said, like, you can't get excess funds that you need because your budget, you don't have the budget for the yajna, but this way you can collect the excess funds. So Maharaj Marut, it's explained, is one of the great emperors of the world. He reigned over the world long before the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was son of Maharaj Avikshit and was a great devotee of the sun god, known as Yamaraj. So Yamaraj is also one of the sons of the sun god. His brother Samvarta was a rival priest of great Brihaspati, the learned priest of the demigods. He conducted one sacrifice called the Sankar Yagya, which was the Lord, by which the Lord was so satisfied that he was pleased to hand over to him the charge of mountain peak of gold. This peak of gold is somewhere in the Himalaya mountains, and modern adventurers may try to find it there. He was so powerful an emperor that at the day's end of sacrifice, the demigods from the other planets like Indra, Chandra, and Brihaspati used to visit his palace, and because he had the gold peak at his disposal, he had sufficient gold in his possession. So that's amazing. The canopy of the sacrificial altar was completely made of gold. In his daily performances of the sacrificial ceremonies, some of the inhabitants of the Vailok airy planets were invited to expedite the cooking work of the ceremony, and the assembly of the demigods in the ceremony was led by Vishwadev. So this is the background. And by his constant pious work, he was able to drive out all kinds of diseases from the jurisdiction of his kingdom. All the inhabitants of higher planets like Devlok and Pitalok were pleased with him for his great sacrificial ceremonies. Every day he used to give in charity to the learned Brahmins such things as beddings, seats, conveyances, and sufficient quantities of gold. Because of munificent charities and performance of new sacrifices, the King of Heaven in the day was fully satisfied with him and always wished for his welfare. Due to his pious activities, he remained a young man throughout his life and reigned over the world for 1,000 years. Excuse me. Surrounded by his satisfied subjects, ministers, legitimate wife, sons and brothers. Even Lord Shri Krishna praised his spirit of pious activities. So it's amazing that these are just, little sparks, the spirit souls. They're not God or even demigod, for instance. They're just pious souls, and they can reach such heights. So we have so much potential as a spirit soul. We have so much potential, but we don't use it. We have so much potential to do good. We have so much potential in our brains. We hardly use our brain. It's like, I think 5%, if that, maximum 3%, and yet and it's just a small atomic spark which is also present when before we're born. We just did a single cell, and the soul is in that single cell. You can imagine the size, say 10,000 tip of the hair, and it's not, you're not able to measure it, not because it's so small. It's like it's spiritual, it just can't be measured. But it has the potential. That little spark, the atomic spark, has the potential to animate an elephant, a big whale, and one time the animals and people were a lot bigger. So it's animating, it can animate any size matter, for that having said that, you can animate any size. This is a little spark. So this spark is great, but it's not the whole. So if we are great, how great is Krishna? He's the whole. If we are a drop, then Krishna is the ocean. If we are a little dust speck of gold, then Krishna is the gold mine. If we are a little spark of fire, Krishna is the whole fire. So this is why we get ego sometimes, because we think we are great, but we might be great, but not great that we are God or we can control God, because God is God and we can never be God. And this is part of my class from last Sunday. Thought it's interesting to discuss here. Anyway, so due to his past activities, remained young man throughout his life and reigned over the world for 1,000 years, surrounded by his satisfied subjects, ministers, wives, sons, and brothers. Even Lord Krishna praised his spirit of pious activities. He handed over his only daughter to Maharishi Angira, and by his good blessings, he was elevated to the kingdom of heaven. First of all, he wanted to offer the priesthood of his sacrifices to learned Brihaspati, but the demigod refused to accept the post because of the king's being a human being. So there you go. Some, still had this bias that he was a human being, although he was so great, and even Krishna praised him. But Brihaspati decided, no, I won't work for a human being, or jiva in the state of a human, nor a demigod. A man of this earth. He was very sorry for this, but on the advice of Nardmani, he appointed Samvat to the post, and he was successful in his mission. The success of a particular type of sacrifice completely depends on the priest in charge. In this age, all kinds of sacrifice are forbidden because there is no learned priest amongst the so-called Brahmins, who go by the false notion of becoming sons of Brahmanas without Brahmanical qualifications. In this age of Kali, therefore, only one kind of sacrifice is recommended, and that is Sankirtan Yajna, as inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he came to the point that it was like all the previous, the qualities and the potency no longer exists, so you have to find a new way, or Krishna arranges for us to find a new way. Just like Maharaj Yudhishthira here, they have no funds left. So only Krishna knows where the funds are, and he tells them, look, you can get it from there. You can be rich again. Same here, when spirituality is lost, we become poor, we can become Kangals in spirituality, then Krishna advances again and shows us where spirituality lies and how to reach it. And then, from the Mahamantra and the Sankirtan Yajna and this new devotion service, by hearing chanting, Krishna told us that we can be enriched again in spirituality. So Krishna is always there to help us. We are never forgotten, although we might forget Krishna, but he does not forget us. He's just there watching, and when we are about to, it's like a child lose his way, Krishna is there to guide us back, but it's up to us to accept the guidance. So here we have that choice: do we want to accept it or not? And even though we came to the material world because we want to be the controllers and the enjoyers, although we don't even have the capacity to enjoy. But we made the mistake. Krishna, he doesn't look at our mistakes. He looks at what we can, how we can help us to rectify our mistakes, and what good are we doing. He just wants a little little light through the tunnel, something small that he can work with. We have to give Krishna something to work with, and he will just expand it so high. And I'm just going to give you a very quick example of Jagai and Madai. Now Madai, he hit a clay pot on head of Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda was covered in blood, and then he was going to hit him again. Even then, after hitting him so hard and he's bleeding, he wanted to hit him again, and Jagai stopped him. But in the meantime, the devotees ran to Mahaprabhu to tell him what had happened. Mahaprabhu came, and Mahaprabhu called for his Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra arrived. Jagai and Madai, they both saw the Sudarshan Chakra, and they fell at the feet of Mahaprabhu and asked for forgiveness. Now, Lord Nityananda said, Mahaprabhu was not ready to forgive them. Lord Nityananda said, please forgive Jagai, because he stopped, even though they're so notorious, Jagai stopped Madai from hitting me again. So Lord Krishna or Mahaprabhu, he got something that could work with this time. He just all he wants. He wants something to work with. He says, give me something that I can use to give you Krishna consciousness, to send you back home. Just give me something. He doesn't want, we're not expecting 100%. He says, give me something. And Jagai gave him something by showing a bit of compassion, even though he's like a drunkard and very sinful. And then the Lord smiled at him, at Jagai, and even showed him his four-arm form. And then, once seeing the four-arm form, anybody sees that, they become completely purified. And he was like ecstatic. And Madai, they weren't stupid. They were Brahman, son of Brahman. So they had some idea of, what's going on. And he saw the state of Jagai in ecstatic mood, lying Danvas Pranam to Mahaprabhu. He says, oh, what has he just received that, why didn't I get it? And he complained to Mahaprabhu. He says, Jagai and myself, we have committed the same sins, the same crimes. So how come he gets your mercy and I didn't get anything? And although I'm begging you, the Lord Mahaprabhu says, well, he did not hit Lord Nityananda over the head with a clay pot. He actually tried to stop you. So obviously he'll get the mercy. But anyway, they were very insistent. And then Mahaprabhu says, well, I can't help you. You have to go to Lord Nityananda if you want mercy. You have to go and beg for mercy from him. I can't help you because you hit him. So he went to Lord Nityananda, and then they both got delivered, Jagai and Madai, because Lord Nityananda even more merciful than Mahaprabhu, and they got. So basically, what I'm saying, that Krishna is just looking for us to offer him something, just something little in the Kali Yuga. Give him something to work with, and he give you everything in return, just like a father, give you everything, but you have to show that you're ready to take it. That's the thing, by showing just a little spark of our splendor. Krishna shows spark of his splendor. We show a spark of splendor by a little compassion, a little devotion, like that, and Krishna is so happy. So in this 31, it says that devotees also get anxieties. How the devotee handles anxiety is in a Krishna conscious way. Krishna helped the Pandavas in their anxiety time by telling them about the mountain of gold. So that's we were discussing, that Krishna helped them. They were anxious, but Krishna understands anxiety, and is always happy to support these devotees. So thank you so much, and let's hear from yourselves. Kiran Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Just 2 verses, so much gems of wisdom. And this was about everything has a price, but the price of war is quite significant. war, wherever it occurs, you can see that when there is some resemblance of peace in the Middle East or Gaza, it's going to take a lot of rupees, dollars, sterling to rebuild. And this was no different. Kurukshetra unfolded because 640 million people, warriors, died. I think it was 640 million or 64 million. But whatever the numbers, these were huge numbers of casualties and fatalities. But if those were just the fatalities, just imagine the numbers that were there on the battlefield. Those people had to be fed, armed, and looked after. And if you recall, I did mention that a king came and that he wanted to help with the war, and cooking was done in what is known as Persia or Iran. So they transported the food to Kurukshetra in the evening. So imagine the amount and the volume of food that had to be transported by Garuda Airlines or whatever it was in those days. So there was a big price, and hence at the end of the war, there was a necessity to have taxes collected. A just king will collect just taxes. An unjust society, like the West that we live in, has so many stealth taxes. There's a tax upon a tax upon a tax, and when you least expect a tax, you'll be taxed on even the air and the water. And what next? This country, the West, is out to fleece you. Not only did they fleece our countries of trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and rupees, but even when we continue to erect their societies, create their infrastructure, their multinationals, and their big internet companies, we do it with humanity. But when we get too good or too sophisticated, they'll find ways to put extra money on your visa, or they'll find an extra ways to ensure that your families don't join you. So the West nothing has changed. The American Indians were right. White men speak with forked tongues. Forked tongues like what a snake has. White men speak with forked tongues, meaning you say one thing and do another thing. We're not taxing people. We're here to look after everybody. No, we're not. We're here to tax those who work the hardest. We're here to ensure that those who do nothing will get something from those who do the most. And sadly, I don't want to have a political rant, but this is what we have continued to do because our humanity and our compassion is such that we want to help and aid the whole of humanity. And you can see that Indians are very resourceful, that many came to this country with a few pounds, a few shillings from Uganda, and today they control the whole of Leicester, Bradford, you name it. We are the backbone of those societies. And these were very resourceful Indian entrepreneurs. They may have been men, but in women, the women have so much gold that if the country had a crisis, Narendra Modi would know where the jewelry was kept, and hence the Indian economy will always survive. Because if you think of it, yeah, oil and gold are the kind of finances that people trade upon. Look at the temples. Tirupati Balaji, gold, gold. People weigh each other with gold, and they do so much donation that the country is riddled with gold, even after being looted time and time again. Because when the Westerners went there, they had the best railway system built, because those railway systems were there to take the loot out. The railway system went straight to the ports. So they've been stealing from us before, and they continue to steal from us now. And so what's changed? Nothing else. Nothing's changed. But we continue to be pious. We continue to be law-abiding. We continue to have that spark of divinity. And we continue to influence society. That we bring up humanity with grace and dignity. And we stay grounded. And that's what Krishna wants us to be. Stay grounded so that we assist humanity to become a compassionate, developed country. Krishna is looking for the good in all of us. From time to time, we have negative traits, but he's looking for that ounce of compassion, goodness, love, purity. He has so much patience and tolerance for each one of us that he has been waiting for us for millions and millions of years and millions of lifetimes. And let's not disappoint him. He waits for us, but we are very poor at keeping our appointments and promises with divinity. We need to work hard. Sands of time, wait for no one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. I just want to, anybody who doesn't know the dialogue that you mentioned, make sure, they know what we're saying. The white man speaks with false tongue. It's a dialogue from a film. It's not our opinion. And so Prabhu just quoting from the movie. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Hina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In these verses, we hear about how wonderful Maharaj Yudhishthira was as a ruler, his compassion to his subjects, his charitable nature, and he did a lot of good over his reign, which seems to us a very, very long time, but I know in those days that was normal for that age. And the service that he took up was, you could say, was almost given to him. And I think Prabhu made some very nice points about this, about, regardless of, in terms of potential somebody has to make an impact, whatever service that we can offer, whatever role or post we take in this material world, we can make a significant contribution, and we can make a difference, whether that's to one person, to a family, to our social circles, or wider society. The potential to make a difference on others as a devotee is so significant. It's so great. And I think most of the times we're just scratching the surface, or we stay within our comfort zones. And Keshava Maharaj, in many of his lectures, often emphasizes the importance of pushing ourselves further, taking a risk, or putting yourself on the line for Krishna, which is also very, very inspiring to hear. So those were just a few of my thoughts. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, nothing ventured, nothing gained. This is a thing that we do become complacent in our comfort zone, and we're happy to be there. But yeah, we have to stretch ourselves evenly, slowly. We have to stretch ourselves all the time, and then before when you look back, you think how far you've come. But yeah, you can do in very small amounts, but you got to move forward all the time, take chances, take risks for Krishna. Thank you so much. Radharani.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you. Yes, the compassionate nature of Yudhishthira Maharaj continues even after the war, how he's rebuilding his society and how he's compassionate for not putting taxes on the already, weak society at that time. How desperate the people must be at that time when hardly any men left in the society. So it's amazing that after suffering so much, they had so much compassion in them, and also how Lord was guiding them all the time. On the other side, we see this. On one side, they're suffering, there's problems. On the other side, there's guidance from the Lord. And then everybody was cooperating for the dharma together. And I think this is how we live our lives, isn't it? We go through one challenge and then we just sometimes think that, okay, we've managed to done this with God. But then next thing comes and the next thing. This is how life goes on. And I think this is, people think that we have done everything on our own accord, but nothing is done by yourself. It's Lord helping you in various ways, through whether it's through people or just mysterious help coming from somewhere for you. And this is how life goes on. So we have to utilize the pure beings to live this life as far as possible. This is what I understood from these two verses. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says that we know Super Soul is in the heart and is in every atom. Not just the heart, he's in every atom. He's everywhere. The more you bring to love Krishna, you only see Krishna everywhere. Right? And also this example, it says try and see everything through the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada and relate to Krishna. For example, a mosquito set on Srila Prabhupada's hand, and just something like that. Like especially in India, there's so many mosquitoes. Mosquito set on Srila Prabhupada's hand, and he would say, "Look at this mosquito. Krishna has blessed me with a syringe." Because I trying to take his blood out of his body. He says, "Oh, Krishna's just give me a syringe." Even like that, automatically, you see Krishna's arrangement in everything. And we can say sometimes the arrangement's very obvious. It's there, hits you in the face. Yeah, this is Krishna. There's no way this could have happened, by chance. This is Krishna just arranged this. And other times it might not be so obvious. So, we have to make that, that mindset that Krishna is arranging this for me. So always think of Krishna and never forget Krishna. So thank you so much. Like I said, we nearly finished this chapter. We'll have it all wrapped up on Monday. We'll complete all the verses on. So ideally, we should be doing the overview on Wednesday, but because Wednesday is fast opening for Bhisham Panchak, and so we won't do an overview in the evening. We'll open our fast for that. Those who are observing, and I'm sure Prabhu, who's giving the class, he's probably observing as well. He's the temple president of Iskcon Coventry. We're giving class. So we'll do the class on Friday instead. On Wednesday, we can start chapter 13. So, and then on the Friday, we won't have a class in the morning. We'll do an overview in the evening. I hope that's okay. So thank you all so much. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.